Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So right now we are doing finally the 2021 NHL season standings prediction. So I also draw here a playoff line. We have it by division because basically this year we have 4 separate leagues. We can call it like that. We have North, West, Central and East. Of course North Division, or you could call it Canadian, however you want to. And yeah, let's start. Let's jump right into the predictions with the North Division or Canadian Division. So with these 7 teams I have all written down. So I have it here, North Division. So let's go from the last place, okay? So the 7th place in the North Division, I'm putting there, of course, probably that should surprise nobody. I'm putting there Ottawa Senators. Of course, the Senators have picked some really good picks in the recent drafts, especially Tim Stützle, of course, coming up this season. Also, they have Jamie Drysdale, they have Eric Brandstrom. So some really interesting young players there. But as of right now, I think they will finish last in the North Division. But the future definitely with Thomas Chabot, Colin White, Brady Tkachuk, etc. The future definitely looks pretty bright for Ottawa Senators. Moving forward, the 6th place in the North Division goes to Calgary Flames. So I'm choosing Calgary to finish as on the 6th place, so the second from the bottom. Like again, I think with Calgary, like you cannot predict with how good of a season they will have. Of course, the 2 seasons before, just an amazing season by Flames. Last season also it wasn't from Johnny Gaudreau, it wasn't the best. Definitely more was expected from him, and from that first line definitely Monahan, Lindholm, Gaudreau. So if they can provide the scoring as they have like 2 seasons before, then definitely Flames could climb into that playoff spot. But as of right now, I have them on the 6th position. 5th position in the North Division, I have their Montreal Canadiens. So the Habs going just below the playoff line this time for me. Canadians, Carey Price, of course, in the net. If he will step on his head and if he will save every shot that comes to him, definitely Montreal have a good shot. But Price has not been that sharp in the recent years, but definitely he's capable of doing that. Also, if the young guns like Jesperi Kotkaniemi up front or Nick Suzuki can play very well, can provide those goals, Montreal once again could find themselves in a playoff spot. The 4th position in the North Division and the first spot to the playoffs, I chose Winnipeg Jets. Of course, the Jets, Paul Stastny coming into the town. I think they have pretty good forward group. The defense with the Jets is something with some issues definitely for me, but the offensive side I think is good for Winnipeg. With Wheeler, with Scheifele, with Laine, with Stastny, with Kyle Connor, etc. I think they have pretty good forward group, especially the first 2 formations, the first 2 lines are able to score some large amount of goals. So definitely that's the main reason. And also Connor Hellebuyck, of course, in the net, he has been very good at last season. This season before, his save percentages have been very well. He has been playing a lot of games. So also Connor Hellebuyck is very important aspect for Winnipeg Jets. Moving forward, the 3rd team in the North Division, I have Vancouver Canucks. So the Canucks here, Vancouver, I think they are improving slowly but steadily. Last season, of course, they won in the playing round series against Minnesota. They did really well in the playoffs. So I think Vancouver is improving really slowly but steadily. They have added some very good players to their forward group recently. Elias Pettersson, of course, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, etc. So, of course, Vasily Podkolzin, of course, whenever he comes from the Russian league, it could be a key for Vancouver as well. So I think Vancouver is a very solid team, and they could definitely finish on the 3rd position. The 2nd position coming to Toronto. So we also know who will be the first team, but right now let's talk just for a second about Toronto Maple Leafs. Of course, Toronto... For the last couple of years, they really wanted to win the cup, to finally bring the Stanley Cup after more than 50 years to the town. and they have not been able to do it. They just have not been able to go through past Boston in those playoffs. So yeah, right now they are playing in the Canadian division or North division. So they basically cannot play Boston. They can play Boston in the only conference finals potentially. That's the spot where they could face Boston, providing that they win the North Division and Boston wins the East Division. I would assume, or I don't know how they would pair it. I'm not completely sure, but yeah. So Toronto, I think, maybe just happy that they are in the North Division, that they cannot meet Boston, cannot meet Washington and those teams from the East, and they will be just playing against Canadian teams. So I think that could be good for the Maple Leafs, definitely. And moving forward, it's Edmonton Oilers. Oilers, I'm predicting to finish first. Last season was very good for the Edmonton. Connor McDavid finally playing in the playoffs with his team. Of course, Leon Draisaitl with the MVP, the Hart Trophy. I am very interested to see if Leon Draisaitl can keep it up, and if also this season would be something really special from Leon Draisaitl, but of course also from Connor McDavid. So Edmonton Oilers, just based on these two guys, based on these two, and also Nugent Hopkins and some other good players that they have also on that blue line. But of course, Oscar Klefbom is injured. That's very bad news, but I think that still Oilers should be just able to finish first in the division. Let's go to the West Division right now. So, the West Division, the last team I have in the West are LA Kings. So, Los Angeles Kings, sorry for that. Los Angeles Kings, I have finishing them last in the West Division. LA Kings, some issues for that. Of course, Alex Turcotte, if he will be able to play right from the start and provide some good scoring opportunities and score some goals, I think it would be a huge help for the LA Kings. But as of right now, I think they are the weakest team in the West Division, which is pretty strong. West Division is pretty strong. Also East is pretty strong, but I think West probably the strongest division currently. The seventh place in the Western Division, I think, will go to Anaheim Ducks. So another California team at the bottom. Anaheim, once again, another very interesting rookie coming up for the Ducks. Trevor Zegras. So he was the MVP of the Junior Championship, which ended just a few days ago for the USA. Trevor Zegras, if he would be able to play just the half of it, which he shown in the World Juniors, I think it would be a great help also for the Anaheim Ducks. But still, I think they would finish. They definitely will not go to the playoffs. At least that's just my prediction, and I think they will finish seventh place. Sixth place in the Western Division, I have another team for California, unfortunately, and that's San Jose Sharks. So California, I'm predicting California to stay, out of the playoffs for the next season, at least, so for this 2021. Of course, in California there was some success, especially with San Jose Sharks coming to the Stanley Cup Finals just a few years before, and of course LA Kings winning the Stanley Cup, I do believe, in 2012 and 2014. So right now the California does not have that strong teams, but I think it could definitely soon change. And when we are talking about San Jose, I think definitely a lot will depend on Erik Karlsson and how he will be able to play. If he's 100% ready, which they are saying that he is, finally once again, probably the first time in the San Jose jersey, then definitely San Jose has better chances of making maybe even playoffs. If Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns would be on that blue line at their highest form, I think it could be definitely a great threat to the opponents of the Sharks. So the fifth place, the last place below the playoff line, goes to Arizona, I think. So Arizona, definitely a defensive team, we all know that. They really rely on their goaltending, so Antti Ranta alongside who is there, Darcy Kemper, of course. So they have a pretty good defensive core of the guys. The offensive part of the game, not that good for the Arizona. So yeah, I just have some issues or some maybe worries concerning Arizona with the offensive part of the game. That offensive group I don't think is that wide, so that's why I put Arizona on the fifth place. The fourth place I think may go to Minnesota. So Minnesota going to fourth place in West. Minnesota, I am actually a fan of Minnesota, so I hope they can manage to make it. I think they have not necessarily a decent team, but a pretty solid team. I think, especially with the addition of Kirill Kaprizov, which I think all of the Minnesota fans, including me, are just absolutely eager to watch how he will play this season. I have just seen some footage from the Minnesota Wild training and with his son Dix, so he really seemed to be in quite some good shape, so I think that Minnesota, with his addition and with that, pretty solid defensive group and with Cam Talbot in the net, I think Minnesota might be just able to jump into the playoffs this coming season. So yeah, I hope Minnesota will make playoffs. Anyways, let's go further. St. Louis Blues, I have finishing on the third place, or on the third position in the West Division, which is pretty strong. Those top three teams really strong. Colorado, Vegas, and St. Louis. I think these are clearly the top favorites to finish in the top three. I have St. Louis finishing third. Then, second place, I have Vegas. So, Las Vegas finishing second. I think, of course, Alex Pietrangelo coming to Las Vegas from the St. Louis Blues. But St. Louis Blues have been able to replace Alex Pietrangelo by Torrey Krug. Of course, completely different style of defenseman. Torrey Krug really not that physical as Pietrangelo, but he will definitely help on that power play. And with Vegas, they have added Pietrangelo. They have two unbelievable goalies, Robin Leonard, Marc-Andre Fleury. Like Vegas, definitely I would say the best team in the NHL concerning the goaltending. So no problems in the net for the Vegas. Definitely, if one goaltender won't be able to play, the other one steps in. That's like not a problem. The offensive part of the game, I think it's still pretty solid with the Vegas. The core that they have, I think, is pretty strong. And the defensive part of the game, of course, with the addition of Alex Pietrangelo, it just got a lot stronger. So I think Vegas could push for the first spot, but on the first spot I have Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche, Joe Sakic slowly adding more and more guys to that already very strong and stacked team. Colorado Avalanche, my personal probably favorite to win the Stanley Cup in this upcoming season. I think many hockey fans are predicting actually Colorado Avalanche to make the playoffs definitely and to even win the Stanley Cup. So Colorado has to be up there in the West Division, and I have them winning the West Division. Okay, so let's move right now to the Central Division. Central Division, starting with the last team, should surprise nobody. Detroit Red Wings. I'll put them a little bit higher than LA. Detroit Red Wings. Last season was very bad. Very bad for Detroit. The positive from the last season, one of the only positives is that it cannot get any worse. Like, they finished with, I think, just over 40 points. It cannot get any worse for the Detroit Red Wings. Dylan Larkin will be expected to have a better season than he had last season, but all of the players from Detroit will be expected to have a better seasons than they had last year. So I have Detroit finishing last in the Central Division. The seventh place in the Central, I have Florida Panthers. So Florida Panthers, of course, a lot of guys have left Florida, and that's the main reason why I'm putting Florida on the seventh spot, not even close to the playoff line. Of course, especially Mark Hoffman and Yevgeny Dadonov, the two players from the first line alongside, Alexander Barkov. These two players, Hoffman and Dadonov, just left for basically like no replace. Like, they haven't replaced them. They are just trying to save money. Of course, Bobrovsky taking over, or exactly 10 million per year for another 6 years. That's the problem for Florida, especially with those young goaltenders emerging like Spencer Knight and Devon Levi. So, a couple of questions for me concerning Florida Panthers. And I know that pandemic definitely hit them hard. We know that they don't have that much fans in the arena, so they are not getting that lot of money from the tickets. So Florida is trying to spend some money, but I am afraid that it would cost them a better position in the Central Division. The fifth place in the Central Division, the sixth place, I think will go to Nashville Predators, sixth place in the Central. Nashville has been a stronger team with PK Subban when they finished in the Stanley Cup Finals just a few years ago, I think. And so for Nashville, I think, or they finished in the conference finals, I do believe. But for the Nashville, I don't know honestly what to expect from the Nashville Predators. They definitely have a solid group of defensemen. They have, of course, Pekka still, but probably the starting goaltender would be Jussi Saros. So they have a pretty solid goaltending, but offensive group, I don't think they are capable of scoring that much of a goal. The special teams, of course, also a major concern. Special teams have been very bad for Nashville Predators in the last season or in the last few seasons, so they would have also to work on that. That's why I have them down on the sixth spot in the Central Division. Fifth spot in the Central goes to Dallas Stars, the last year finalists. I'm predicting Dallas not to make playoffs in this coming season. I was honestly very surprised to see Dallas make the Stanley Cup Finals last season, and I think many of the hockey fans actually were. Dallas is having some very serious problems with scoring goals and with the offensive part of the game. The defense is solid. It's the same team like I would say maybe Arizona, but I think even Arizona is capable of scoring more goals than Dallas. Dallas does not have those top forwards that are able to just score a lot of goals. Of course they have Seguin, but he should be out for the I do believe for the beginning of the season. They have Jamie Benn, etc. Probably Rupe Hintz is the guy which is the most capable of scoring goals for the Dallas. But yeah, the offense is a great problem for the Stars, and they really did not add any interesting name to that offensive group, so that's why I have them on the fifth spot. The fourth spot, the last spot that will make the playoffs, I think will go to in the Central Division to Chicago Blackhawks. So Chicago, very interesting team. I think they can make the playoffs once again. I think they are capable of it. They have still Patrick Kane, they have Jonathan Toews. Corey Crawford left, but they have some other guys stepping in. So, Kirby Dach, of course, out because of his injury that occurred before the World Juniors started. So that is a major blow for the Chicago Blackhawks. But other than that, I think that Chicago is capable of making the playoffs this coming season. The third spot, I think, in the Central will go to Columbus. So Columbus, John Tortorella is behind the bench. They have one of the cheapest goaltending tandems in the league with Korpisalo and Kivlenieks and of course the other guy from Latvia, I do believe. So they have a pretty solid group of goaltenders. Even though they are not the brightest stars of the NHL, they are still very good. And Columbus, last season, they were able to make it to the Plane Round Series, even though they were missing some very key guys for the majority of the season. So providing that they would have everyone healthy, which of course will not happen, but at least the most of the very important guys, the most of the key guys, if they will be able to stay healthy, I think Columbus could fight for that playoff spot in the Central Division. Second place in the Central, Tampa or Carolina. I'm choosing Carolina to finish second. Carolina is one of my favorite teams to watch in the NHL. They have very interesting players, very young core of guys. Also, Rod Brind'Amour is just an excellent coach by my, if I'm judging the best coach for me in the NHL is Rod Brind'Amour. Just the way he is, he is doing his job on his bench, and the way he is, he's saying all the words, the way he's cheering the guys up. That's just, I think that Carolina with him, that's just the best combination. Of course, also with the Storm Surge. I think Storm Surge is another very big big reason why many fans have started cheering for Carolina, or at least they have started watching their games, or at least the end of their games, because these storm surges I think are just brilliant, and every team I think should create something like that, because it just makes the hockey more enjoyable. You know, when you're all the match, you're just waiting for that storm surge when your team wins. So I think that's great. And yeah, Sebastian Aho, Teravainen, other guys, very, very interesting young team for Carolina, and they are capable of doing a lot, definitely. And Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, the Stanley Cup champions of 2020. I think they will finish first in the Central. They still have that core group that won the Stanley Cup just a few months ago. Of course, Tampa currently having some problems with the cap, so cap problems for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but everybody who wins Stanley Cup basically has then some cap problems, so Tampa is not an exception, but however, they will have to solve these problems. Of course, Nikita Kucherov currently injured on the injured reserve, but after he comes back, new millions come back into the cap, so they have to figure out something. I don't know how they stay below the cap, but they have to do something about it. That's my only concern with the Tampa Bay Lightning, the cap problems. East Division, the last division for the NHL this upcoming season. The last team I have in the East Division, finishing 8th, New Jersey Devils. New Jersey Devils, I think they need some more years in order to be able to compete with those top teams in the Eastern Division. But as of right now, yeah, I think they would finish last. On the 7th spot, I have Buffalo Sabres. So Sabres adding Taylor Hall, of course Dylan Cousins coming up, another very good prospect. So I'm interested to see how Sabres will play in this upcoming season. I'm sure a lot of Buffalo fans are as well. Exciting to see their players, their guys playing once again, and definitely they will want finally to get into the playoffs, but I think that this season it will be not just as of yet. I think Sabres will finish 7th place in this coming season in the Eastern Division. 6th place I think will go to, in this division, to the New York Islanders. So New York Islanders, interesting team. Barry Trotz, of course, behind the bench. When you have Barry Trotz behind the bench, anything could happen. We have seen that many times in the recent years when we thought, oh, Islanders are just bad. After John Tavares left, they won't even make the playoffs. But, you know, it's Barry Trotz, so they made it. And definitely cannot rule them out of the playoffs. But I just think they won't be able to just make it this time. So I have them finishing 6th in the Eastern Division. 4th place, I think, will go to the rivals of the New York Islanders, the city rivals of New York Rangers. Of course, they added Lafreniere. Of course, they have Panarin, they have Capo Caco, they have Mika Zibanejad, they have other great guys on that offensive part of the game. However, the defensive part of the game is what is a major concern for me, and I'm sure also for the Rangers fans. The blue line does not look quite good. Does not look like a top NHL level. And yeah, the offensive part of the game definitely very good for the Rangers. They are able to score a lot of goals. Their power play, I'm sure, will be very good, but the penalty kill and generally the defensive part of the game will be definitely a huge problem for the New York Rangers in this coming season. So let's look at the teams which will make playoffs according to me in the Eastern Division. Finishing 4th place, I have Philadelphia Flyers. So Flyers finishing 4th. I think that's the least where they can finish. I think definitely Philadelphia is even capable of winning the Eastern Division. They have a really good team. Of course, I think Oscar Lindblom, when he will be back, of course, with what he has been fighting for with and his just whole journey, his story is great. So I think even that would give Philadelphia Flyers a great encouragement, a lot of power, and I think they have a great offensive group, a great defensive group as well. And if Carter Hart would be able to get to the next step, you know, the step up, to make some shutouts, to play really well, I think Philadelphia definitely are one of the cup contenders this coming season if Carter Hart would be that good of a goalie, as he probably will be by our expectations. Another team, third place in the Eastern Division. I'm choosing Pittsburgh Penguins with Sidney Crosby as the captain, of course. So Pittsburgh Penguins, yeah, they have still a pretty solid group of offensive players. Of course, Malkin and Crosby still up there, one of the best two centers in on the one team. And Jay Gensel is there, who is able to score some goals. Another good players. Also, the defense looks pretty solid. Tristan Jarry will be the starter. The question is how he can handle all the pressure on himself. Of course, Matt Murray probably leaving, not probably, but surely. So it will be all on Tristan Jarry this time. Okay, another team finishing second in the Eastern Division. I have Washington Capitals. So we all know who is coming to the top on the Eastern Division, or in the Eastern Division rather. But right now let's talk about Capitals. Capitals adding Zdeno Chara. I think that is a very important addition. Of course, Chara will not be the captain. Ovechkin stays as a captain, but Chara would definitely be a very important part of the Washington team. He has a lot of experience. This will be probably his last year in the NHL, so he will be desperate to win the Stanley Cup and to prove Boston wrong. Like, of course, he's not angry at Boston. I'm sure Zdeno Chara will be working and will be working within the Boston organization after his career is over. But currently, he is concentrating on his life with the Capitals. He will try to provide some good defensive minutes, some good minutes on the penalty kill for Washington Capitals. And I think with his approach to the training, to the game, to the life in general, I think the team could gain another very important encouragement. And with Alex Ovechkin, with already that group of 8 guys that they have there, which was able to win Stanley Cup like 3 years earlier, I think they still have what it takes to even win the Cup. So I have Washington finishing second, and the first team, Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins, still a very good team, even without Zdeno Chara, who would probably leave like in 1 year anyway. But also they have lost Torrey Krug. So Zdeno Chara probably not that big of a concern for the Boston Bruins. He would leave, as I have said earlier, in the next year anyway, but Torrey Krug will be missed in Boston. Torrey Krug, especially on the power play, will be missed. And offensive part of the game, Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron, probably the best first line in the NHL, the best line overall in the NHL, so no problem with the offense with the Boston Bruins. The defense could be a problem. Tuukka Rask, of course, in the net, maybe, probably, who knows, his last season in the NHL. Rask, Halak, probably the goaltending tandem for the last time. Both of them are unrestricted free agents after the season ends. And Boston Bruins may be one of the last changes for this core of the players from Boston to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup finals and maybe win that Stanley Cup. So yeah, that's just my NHL 2021 season standings prediction. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, definitely please subscribe if you have not already, and leave a like down below this video. And definitely also tell me down in the comment section below, guys, who do you think will finish in the first places of each division? So in the North, who do you think will be the first? In the West, in the Central, who do you think will be the first in the Eastern Division? Definitely tell me down your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe, and remember, the NHL season is coming in the next few days. I do believe it's just like 5 days away from the start of the new NHL season, so the hockey will be back pretty soon. So yeah, I'm just completely excited about that, and I hope I will be able to talk to you again, guys, probably very soon. So till then, stay safe, and bye for now. Bye, guys.